Hello there, I'm Mazara Tagaya, and you're watching another episode of Ringgit Sense, where we talk about personal finance. Now, in our economy, everything has a cause and effect. For example, if you raise the minimum wage, the cost of operating kindergarten and daycare centers will go up, and most likely the additional costs will be passed on to the parents. So if you're a parent who sends their child to a daycare center, you'll probably know by now that it is one of the biggest costs of your monthly budget. We met with Nur Sheila Abdullah, the president of the Association of Registered Childcare Providers of Malaysia, to talk about some of the costs parents face in raising young children. We visited Nur Sheila at the daycare she runs at the HQ of the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, or MITI, in Kuala Lumpur. Parents who work here send their children here. Parents pay between 450 ringgit and 550 ringgit, depending on their age group. Children can be dropped off as early as 7:30 a.m. and up to 6 p.m. We wanted to know what's the average amount parents are spending on daycare around the country. Okay, so first up, tell us, how much do parents usually spend to send their children to daycare? How much do they usually pay a month, and what do they get for that price?
Okay, I think when come to fee, it varies not even by district but even by states, because like states in East Coast, Perlis, Kedah, they will not charge their children more than 250, which in KL, if around PJ, Damansara and all that, it will be not less than 900. Some people pay 900, some people pay 600, and some still will survive within 450 and 500. Okay, and in Sabah, Sarawak, we were told that it's about 300 to 600. Even Perak also the same thing, but because it depends, like in KL, in Gombak, in Selayang, like Shah Alam, certain areas, if the medium low income people, they will not charge more than 300. Okay, so the costs that within that fee, for instance, like in my place, we charge like 450 for materials. So they will come with children activities materials, and other food beside lunch, because lunch we have to cater because we are not allowed to cook at home at our place. I think now most workplace, they try not to allow them to cook. Even in normal childcare center, they have asked them to use induction stove rather than the gas stove.
So some people pay from a few hundred ringgit to maybe 1,000 ringgit or more. So there's this misconception that when you pay more than 1,000 ringgit, it actually means more quality in the care that your children get. So what do you think about this?
I think whether it's quality or not quality, the parents should see the area. Okay, like for us, the normal childcare center, we will follow exactly what it is in the Act, the minimum standard. This is what the JKM wants us to do. So under minimum standard, you have to have stimulation activity according to the child's age and also the child's development. All right, so for in KL, I would say this is like normal. I would say you can not break even, but you can survive or run the operational cost. The cost should not be less than 600. 600 because one, like I said earlier, it's also minimum wages. When the minimum wages started, that's where most of us who receive a fee about 300 ringgit, they find it very hard to sustain. And those who pay more than 600, the parents have to see what are the service they are providing. If they pay more, one again is because of their rental around that area, because in like in Subang and PJ area or in Damansara, some of our operators are paying more than 5,000. So due to these costs, so they have to higher the price.
So can you tell us a little bit more about how much parents these days can actually afford for both the lower income group and also the middle income group?
I think the B40 group, even for them to pay 400 is quite difficult, which I find because now they said the government subsidise at workplace and also Taska community. Those parents, both income household below 5,000, they will get subsidies. Okay, they will get subsidies. But living in KL, 5,000 is you cannot, because the cost of living is high, the rental, the petrol, the toll, and all that. So I find it is quite difficult for parents from B40, especially what we are looking at, all the PPRT flats, the urban poor area, like maybe like Lembah Subang. You have to see this area. If in the rural area or the states like Perlis and all that, and Terengganu, most parents, their job is different. They are probably fishermen and all that. Sometimes they might not able to send even 2,000, because I think the last time they break up, if below rural area, urban area, rural area is below 2,000 or 3,000. I'm not very sure, but then if 2,000 also you cannot beat, because nowadays dispatch boy will get about 1,008, and let's say I'm a clerk in a clinic, I would get 1,006. So by the time I match my salary with my husband, I'm getting more than 2,000 and more 3,000. So these are young grievances that parents say you want us to have, but actually we cannot have, you know.
Currently, the salary range of new staff at daycare centres range between 1,000 ringgit for SPM leavers and 1,600 ringgit for those with a diploma. With the government planning to raise the minimum wage, parents should be prepared to pay more for daycare fees, as many centres that pay the minimum wage will pass the cost on to the parents. So for working parents, what would be some of the benefits of having a daycare centre at the working place?
When you have a childcare at workplace, you help the parents actually, especially moms with babies, you know. So I will be very happy that I have a workplace. And then if I have babies, I just come down. But I think the centre and the mother, even the employers should know when is the time actually they can come. And how much time do you limit? Let's say if they come for breastfeeding, I would say not more than 7 minutes. Because you know it's quite fast. But I would encourage parents to be here in the morning, come in and collaborate with us with children's activity, but that all will be scheduled according, because we would encourage the parents to collaborate, to be once in a while with the children, because it makes the children happy.
We're taking a short break and we'll continue our discussion after this. In the meantime, you can visit our Facebook page, Ringgit Sense TV3, for more personal finance tips. Welcome back to Ringgit Sense as we continue our in-depth look at the cost of daycare and the challenges of running one. As the government is pushing for more workplaces to have a child care centre, we asked Noshila what are the challenges faced by employers in setting one up. She says that there are 3 ways to set up the child care centre. The first way is for the Human Resources Department to register it. The second way is to have the union at the workplace to register it. However, since both parties do not have any experience, the third way is the most common.
So the other choice, which a lot of existing workplace has done, they outsource to another person, people to run the place. And sometimes when they provide the place, they might just give you empty building. So they expect the operator to provide and equip the place with toys and everything. And you are actually nurturing the child so that you know this person who's going to run this place, they know about the regulation, they know about what are the things to be provided, how do you place your areas for babies, for a toddler, and also 3 to 4, and how do you buy the equipments, what is suitable for the children. So these are the things that we need to look at.
When setting up a daycare at work, the floor plan for Nur Sheila is the most important factor in deciding the number of children the place can accommodate. There has to be a minimum of 3.5 square feet per child, and for the staff, the minimum ratio is 3 babies to 1 childcare provider. Nur Sheila adds that many workplaces have tried to set up a daycare at work and have also failed because managing one is not easy.
A lot of them, they have tried, and there is a lot of them has closed workplace because they don't want to. The majikan is they don't want to go through the hassle of it. Okay, like for instance, a place in purpose-built place, you can get approved from the Majlis Pembandaran one-off. Okay, because you're purpose-built, so it should be one-off. Other thing that what you can do is, if you don't really have place, you can work within the registered childcare centre around your area. Okay, you don't spend money physically for the building and all that, but maybe you should give them a subsidy to the parents. Though you cannot have it at your place, but you're working or sending the children or collaborating for your staff benefit with the registered childcare centre.
The country has recently been shocked by news of babies dying under the care of unregistered babysitters. In the case of baby Adam Raikal, his body was found in the fridge of his babysitter. Nur Sheila feels that it's still the choice of the parent to send to a daycare or a babysitter, but they must make sure it's registered. Okay, on that note, what do you think are some of the benefits, the pros and cons of sending your child to a daycare center versus a babysitter?
If you send to a registered childcare center, the parents will see that there is an activity, planned activity, how the children behave within the environment, how, what kind of food meals have been prepared for them, and they know the child have routine, and they also have time to play. Within the play is within the activities time, because we normally believe that children learn through play. All right, through play. So when parents go into center, these are the things they have to look at. What kind of program they have, what curriculum they follow, have their staff been trained, and is the childcare is registered. And I think now with JKM's portal, you can always call them and check, or you can go into the portal to see if KL area, which are the childcare centres are registered. All childcare centre which is registered is in the list of the inside the portal of JKM. Now going back to babysitting from home, it is also choice of a parents. I mean, I do not say those who are looking after babies at home is not good, but I think sometimes to avoid all these cases, because most cases comes from those which is not registered. If they take children below 4 packs below 4 years old, they must notify. I, Nur Sheila Abdullah, I stay at this house, I'm taking care of 4 kids. These are the children's name, this is the age, and these are the parents' particulars. We must notify them. But if you take children for numbers above, below 9, because home base you cannot take more than 9. But you can't expect people to, like JKM, go and knock everybody's house. So I think we have to have some responsibility. Call JKM and tell JKM, okay, I'm registering myself. I would want to register. I would like to do home-based childcare center. I would like to babysit. What do I do? Or the parents should come and help the babysitter, because if she's going to look after your child from morning to evening, then she wouldn't have the time.
So there have been cases where some daycare centers have been forced to close, for example, the HFMD outbreak. So what do you do in cases like this? How do working parents actually cope when the whole center is forced to close?
The parents must be transparent with us that the child is having fever, the child is having some ulcer in his mouth. So that is why we have those who go for the training, the KP training, we have the logbook where the parents should record, you know. And sometimes I feel that it plays to both parties, because you see, when the child is having fever and flu, you should not bring the child outside to an open area. And if that happens, we have no choice, because we've been instructed to close the centre. So whether parents like or not, we have to close the centre. We had cases in our place, we have to clean the whole thing, and again, we will incur costs there. For me to clean the whole thing from the top to below every corner, it will spend us 800 ringgit just to clean, because I need to get manpower to make sure somebody is cleaning outside and my staff will do inside, you see. So for us to do that also is a cost.
We're going for another break. After that, we're taking a look at a cafe with a playhouse. While it may look fun, what are the challenges of running a cafe? If you're planning to go into the food business, stick around for some pointers on what you should be looking out for. Back with us on Ringgit Sense, you're still with me, Azaria Tagaya. If you're a fan of a friendly space where the family can come together and eat and the kids can play around freely, then you're going to love this next story. We recently made a visit to Block, a Lego-inspired cafe in Chita Mall. More than just have a look around, we wanted to speak to the people behind Block to find out what made them venture into the F&B business. What are the challenges? And is there anything future entrepreneurs should take note of when thinking of running a cafe in a mall? Let's watch. Good food, great coffee, and an amazing space for the whole family. Block, located in Chita Mall, was founded in April 2016 by Shani Iman Lee, Nazruddin Rahman, Nizam Rahman, and Ken Lam out of a shared love for Lego. It's a Lego-themed cafe with a playground, and they also run Lego classes. Their target market are families with children. Most people will know Shani and her husband Naz as familiar faces from their many years working in the TV industry. So how did they end up in F&B?
Well, I'm a parent of 3 kids, and I think anyone who's a parent will know how difficult it is to find me time. So a place where a parent can sort of kick back and relax while the kids have an activity to do. So I found myself wondering the same thing when my kids were small, why I couldn't find anywhere for me to, relax for a while my kids were occupied. So it was a natural thing that happened when in 2016 January, we came across an opportunity to buy over an existing business and do this thing that we had always thought would be a great idea. So Chita Mall was the place because the existing business was here. We felt it was quite centrally located, and the space was nice and huge. And I think spaciousness is very important when you're looking for a family concept cafe. The management has been very helpful. And I think also that this area is a space where the demographic is growing families. So that's exactly the kind of market that we want to target. So we started off with 3 founders. Myself, my husband, and my brother-in-law, which in itself is already an interesting dynamic because working with your husband and running a business with him is not easy. So that's another topic on its own. But then we realized also that between the 3 of us, we had lots of strengths, but we also had lots of weaknesses. For example, none of us had any business or finance background. And also, although my husband, is in the food business, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to run a kitchen. So we realized that we needed to bring on additional partners who had those areas of expertise to strengthen the core team. So on top of the fact that I'm the director of marketing, my husband's the managing director, my brother-in-law is the director of operations, we brought on board a CFO, and we also brought on board an F&B director to make sure that all of those areas are effectively covered.
Block comprises a cafe, indoor playground, and a Lego education arm called Block Labs. With many people turning to the food industry as a viable business venture, we wondered what are some of the significant aspects of running a business in a mall?
Now, there's lots of pros and cons to having a business in a mall. Obviously, being in a mall, all of the amenities are taken care of. You don't need to worry about the security. You don't have to worry about the toilet facilities, parking, and all of those additional things. And of course, the other advantage is having traffic. You know, when you have a mall that has lots of other businesses around them, you have traffic that, you know, will automatically come to the mall. So they may be attracted by other amenities, but they end up coming to your place. The cons, of course, will be you have to deal with the rental, you know, and the fact that sometimes rental goes up. But I think as long as you have a good relationship with the management and they're very clear about what you want out of your business and what you want out of them, and that communication remains two ways, I think, you know, working with any mall is just a matter of communication, really.
Of course, as with any career path, there are some things you will learn along the way.
Of course, the challenges are numerous. I think people don't really know that going into business and becoming an entrepreneur, although it sounds sexy, they don't understand that perhaps going to business is the most challenging thing they're ever going to have to deal with. Not all founders with a great idea necessarily know how to run a business. There's the back-end stuff that people don't think about. There's the human resources, hiring, keeping staff, making sure they get paid on time, keeping them motivated with bonuses and rewards and increments constantly. And then there's also the issue of funding. You know, at some points you'll find that you have low periods. How do you deal with that? Finding the funds to keep on going. And also growth. You know, we got to a point where we had no choice but to grow, even before we thought we were ready. So sometimes those things happen before you're ready. And you have to know when you're going to change the direction of your business or move forward and expand. So we've been through a lot in just 2 years. It's been a real roller coaster ride, and I have to say it's been the steepest learning curve of my life.
For Shani, the biggest challenge is handling her staff, as staff leaving after about 6 months of work is very high in the F&B business. After investing time training new employees, she motivates them to stay on with rewards and also showing them how much they are appreciated on the job. Shani explains that when running your own business, there will be times where you'll have to make snap decisions that will ultimately decide the future of your business.
Actually, last year we had an opportunity to expand to another mall. And we had actually gotten quite far into the process of negotiation. We even put down a deposit. But as I said, sometimes growth may have to happen before you're ready. And we thought we would be ready to move to another mall because the situation demanded it. We needed more space. But in hindsight, I realized we were not ready for another space in another mall. So we decided to pull out from there. And fortunately, the management there was very understanding. And we decided to refocus on our operations here and make this one larger and stronger. So it's a learning curve that we had to go through. We had to make that mistake to understand that we needed to strengthen our operations here first, grow on what we have before we'll be ready to start in another mall. But I think what we've got here right now is a great benchmark, so that when we are ready to expand to another location, which we're hopefully looking at Penang and Johor Bahru, operationally, we will have the SOP to carry forward to the other places.
Well, we're almost at the end of the show. We hope that the discussion about the cost of daycare and running a restaurant was useful for you. Share with us your thoughts by going to our Facebook page, Ringgit Sense TV3, and leave a comment. In the meantime, remember to invest and save wisely.